Over the weekend, it was reported that he was considering making users pay $20 a month for their blue verified checks. But you and your team just reported a new figure there. What are you finding?
Yeah, like you said, Maggie, it really appears to be happening in real time. He threw that $20 figure out there, you know, seemingly offhand, like he often does on Twitter. And Stephen King, the horror author, tweeted back pretty outraged at the prospect. So Musk said, "How about eight?" And then followed up basically with a definitive tweet, making it look like it's going to be $8 a month. And obviously, one of the, that $44 billion price tag, one of the most expensive acquisitions in tech history. Even with all the money Elon himself, as the world's richest man, had on hand, and the investments he was able to get from co-investors, they still needed to take on about $13 billion of debt to finance the acquisition, which analysts widely believe will result in about $1 billion in new interest expense for the company, which already had pretty, shaky finances to begin with, and not a lot of wiggle room to cover debt of that nature. So obviously they're looking for ways to cover that debt, and we asked around, and it seems like that $8 per month fee that they'd be charging for account verification is likely to be just a very small piece of that.
How else might they compensate? Have you heard? And what can users expect?
Analysts, we're sure to point out, as I indicated, that this is in fact, one of the many initiatives that Elon will be implementing, and they do see a lot of potential in areas like charging corporations and governments who might in fact be willing to pay a lot more than individual users who have, mostly seem to be against the idea. Back in May, around the time the acquisition was originally agreed upon, a pitch deck for the acquisition to minority investors actually leaked to the New York Times, and Elon laid out some pretty lofty ambitions in there, growing subscription revenue to $10 billion, which is about twice as much as Twitter makes as a whole right now, basically, with none of that coming from subscriptions. And it seemed that he envisioned their existing Twitter Blue premium program, which users do pay about $4.99 for currently, to do things like undo tweet, and others obviously wouldn't pay $4.99 for undo tweet, but you saw that being a big piece of where the $10 billion will come from, and also from this mysteriously named service called X, which I think is widely believed to be something similar to WeChat. So all that to say, there isn't a lot of certainty at this point. There's a lot of questions left to be answered.